Hi, this is Amanda from Incorporeal Healing. I just wanted to take a minute to thank all the new subs, all your likes and comments. They are so appreciated, and I thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that everyone is listening to the activations and participating in these healings. It's amazing, and I love you and I thank you. I wanted to do a quick video on an article I wrote for my website entitled, "What is Ascension?" Many individuals have spoken about Ascension. So many, in fact, that I debated whether it was necessary to put my 2 cents in. But here we are. Ascension has already happened, is happening, and will happen. It's dependent on the individual's perception of their individually aligned timelines. And here's the thing, you don't always stay on the same timeline. We shift through different layers and levels all the time. If you believe you are in a process of ascension, then you are. If you are waiting for something to happen to you so you can ascend, then you are in a holding period of your own waiting. If you believe as I do, which is that I have already ascended, I am already a 12th dimensional aspect of Source, currently holding awareness in the 3rd dimension as well as everywhere else, infinitely occupying any time-space stream of consciousness that I want to observe, then you're that. Ascension is putting the pieces or fractals of our own consciousness together in one body, this human meat suit. The grand experiment, if you will. Can a human vessel become fully integrated, fully activated, and online in a 3D bone and muscle outfit? Can the avatar remember not being an avatar, but something else? Can the video game character connect telepathically with the player, the controller? Can both together have the same but infinitely different perspectives, whilst still understanding and being compassionate towards each other's viewpoints? Can they create and manifest what's in the best interest of every other player and character and avatar in the entire game, as well as all other games in existence? Can all players unite, realizing the gravity of what we are all involved in? The sheer magnitude of this task. It's a lot to take on. And some simply say no. I just want to play. I want to be separate, and I choose not to take part in this experiment. Non-player characters, NPCs. You could say these individuals don't have a soul, as soul is just another way of describing awareness or connection to Source. And that is their choice. And it's no one's mission to wake them up. However, on the opposing side of that, the need for star seeds to plant seeds and make waves is completely necessary, an essential component to the overall mission, as it only takes a tiny spark to bring an NPC online and trigger an awakening. Others have chosen to participate, so to speak, but not all at the same time. The awakenings are staggered, in our eyes anyways, as we must see things in linear time, or things just wouldn't make sense. Our human processors, brains, can't decipher the code that quickly. The frames must be slowed down so we can categorize and manage the energetics of it all. But in reality, time, at Source consciousness, is but one moment, one energetic, one now. We are one being, slowed down, fractaled out, ever expanding into a blossoming, growing consciousness. But at a certain point, a capacity is reached, an outer boundary, a mathematical infinity that is the singularity, the point of no return, the event horizon, the 0-point field. This moment will be experienced infinite ways, in infinite perspectives, at infinite densities and dimensions. The sheer vastness of this event is unmeasurable by anything in human comprehension. The truth is, it's already happened, it is happening, and it will happen. We have all lived it before, we are living it, and will live it. There is no day, there's no time for this event. The event is every day, every minute, every second, every breath you take. It is this now, all the time. So, Ascension. There's no steps, no levels, no instruction manuals. There is no, what can I do to speed this up or make it easier, help my loved ones, change the world. This is the experiment. You see, we are fractals of fractals, spirals in sacred geometry, a microcosm in a macrocosm, spinning and surrounding everything and anything all at once. There's no changing anything. Everything that has ever happened, will happen, has happened, and is happening. It's our awareness that changes. It is our frequency that changes. What do you prefer to experience? Which station do you want to hear today? Sports, news, heavy metal, adult contemporary? How about static? Just static. Because that is all reality really is. It's a blank slate. We can choose to listen to pre-programmed stations, or we can create our own signal, which is exactly what starseeds are doing now. Ascension is choosing the static. In other words, source consciousness, the 0-point field, the all that is, and nothingness, all at the same time. Can we be human, three-dimensional beings, the furthest from source, whilst being completely and totally connected to 12D consciousness? The answer is yes, because we have decided it so. And we are here now to prove it to ourselves, which is the one. We are God, showing God we are one, whilst being separate. And we do this by being able to unconditionally love all aspects of ourselves. So how do we ascend? In linear terms, anyways. It's all in the DNA. We incarnate with everything we need built in, so to speak. Our DNA holds all the knowings, information, memory, timeline trajectories, connections to source, all the infinitesimal details, as well as the complete awareness of universal and cosmic truths. We just have to awaken to it. We have to reconnect all our external hard drives and reboot the system. The hard drives refers to our 12-strand DNA, and our system is our energetic consciousness field, or the Merkaba, or the rainbow body. There's not one way to do this. There are many ways to bring dormant DNA back online. Simply having the intention to do so is enough. There are many tools as well that assist in quickening this process, such as meditation, connection with source, connection with nature, connection with your own body through movement like yoga, receiving a Reiki massage, and my personal favorite, sound. Sound is frequency, vibration. Music happens when the soul sings. I create meditations, activations, healing attunements on this channel that raise the listener's vibrations so they can align with their soul's own song and achieve whatever their intention for that meditation is. Every individual will get what they need from it, which is true for any modality they seek out. The soul knows where to find their activators, facilitators, and teachers. They are magnetic in nature. And the reconnection is always divinely timed. Now we're on to part 2, the Ascension Shadow. So, Ascension is great, right? The light being turned on, DNA coming online, awakening into source consciousness. But don't forget, this doesn't happen without an equal opposing force. This brings us back to the NPCs, the non-participators, and the ones that have chosen to participate, but as the opposite duality, the polarizing negative. The service to self individuals, the dark forces, the dark alliance, the sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, and all other villains. I began my awakening by reading a book by Jim Marrs, Our Occulted History. which blew my world open. Open to what the evil in the world actually was. Answered so many of my questions, but ignited a million more. I continue to read everything else he published, not to mention countless other authors. I was hooked and a bit obsessed, to be quite honest. I found myself very ungrounded and had the mentality of everyone must know what I know immediately. So I told everyone, and the only response I got in return was the one eyebrow raise, sigh, and eye roll, which is beyond frustrating, and left me feeling even more alone and isolated. But the more viewpoints I heard and read on different topics, the more I began to realize these ideas, although not wrong, could also infinitely spiral into what is truth? Your truth, his truth, my truth. What does it really matter? In the law of one, there's a term, law of confusion, or in other words, free will, or the virus, as I call it. We have free reign over our thoughts, even though that is being tested by dark forces. We have free will, but the problem is when an individual is not aligned with source, peace, unconditional love, harmony, and compassion, their thoughts will reflect the lower frequencies. Meaning, if you feel separate from source, stuck in fear, lack, separation, and limitation, those dense vibrations loop in your thought forms. And that is exactly what the universe will reflect back at you. A world that is cruel, evil, and corrupt. Free will allows us to develop our beliefs as we see fit. This allows our multidimensional selves to experience the optimal environment for us to remember and learn and grow spiritually, which seems great, except the ego will always push, my way is the only way. So even the most enlightened light workers would never admit to, maybe your way's right too. Truth is, your truth is yours and yours alone. And it will remain your truth until you choose to align to something different. You will never find another being that will align with you 100%, which explains why and how we are separate. Mirrors of ourselves, except fractionally different through our thoughts and beliefs. The question, can you be in complete alignment with your truth while allowing someone else to be in alignment with theirs? Living side by side, occupying the same time-space peacefully. Which brings me to the truther community and disclosure. Shadow governments, corrupt and evil bankers, depopulation agendas, our strange and convoluted human history, and the not so hidden anymore, elites' cruel and heinous exploitation of our children. The people who fight so hard for truth and disclosure, I truly admire, and I understand the need for everyone to understand a certain level of truth. But again, whose truth? Everything in our 3D reality is an illusion, everything. Whether it's fighting over politics, or if UFOs are real, it's the same thing as what planet do you originate from, or what's the name of your ascended master you were soul fractal of. No matter what idea or concept you are fighting over, it's still in the form of a 3D veil. It's still a lens, a filter. It's still separate from the truth, which is, we are all one consciousness, fractaled, infinitely to experience itself. The fact that the New Age spiritual community is combative at all should tell you there's a huge piece of the puzzle missing. At the end of the day, we are only responsible for our own judgments, our own emotional reactions, triggers, attachments, and beliefs. The trick is to subscribe to no beliefs. Hold no attachment to things, people, places. Stop labeling yourself and others. Stop trying to put a definition on everything. The reason disclosure hasn't happened yet is because people are waiting for it to. Again, waiting for something to happen puts it further from manifesting. So, my advice, Stop looking for it in the news. Stop looking for UFOs to land on the White House lawn. Individuals that push too hard for their beliefs to be heard, individuals that come from a place of anger or hostile intent or fear tactics in hopes of red pilling a massive collective, are doing more of a disservice. Example, trying to change someone's mind about a political view they have. You can show them evidence, you can talk to them until you're blue in the face. In the end, you have only pushed them further to believing their own narrative. Now, if someone is actively searching for alternative information and asking questions and seeking an answer that resonates with their divine template, that's when an awakening happens, and why it's so important for light workers and starseeds to speak their truth. But individuals have to seek it out. Same with healing, same with connecting to guides. You have to seek it out. The universe will meet you halfway, I promise. But you have to make the initial contact, or in other words, making the call. Putting your intention out there, it is a permission slip, like Bashar says. What you seek is seeking you, and it will meet you halfway. Holding awareness of these topics is an important phase of ascension, but not one to get stuck on. While important to shine light on these shadows, getting wrapped up in the details just creates more shadows, which is the last thing we want. An eye for an eye is not the way to fix these things. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Albert Einstein. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't fight by sharing information, asking questions, and demanding authenticity from our peers and ourselves. But a huge part of this understanding is that we hold the power as a collective. And instead of trying to change the narrative as this is being done to us, we must come together as a whole and agree to collectively align to a more optimal experience, which is rapidly approaching, as I can feel by our current energetic climate. Consciousness outweighs everything. And once we have collectively expanded to match higher dimensional vibrations, these shadow distortions will begin to blur and eventually phase out of our reality entirely. But those who get stuck with whose truth is more truthful keep the focus on the very thing we are trying to transcend, bringing me back to the law of confusion. Ultimately, we must pull the focus away from our free will. The distortions and distractions we create manifest into something we actually are fighting against, as it is our outer boundary. We cannot fully expand as a collective until we agree to create in unity. We must come at these distortions from a higher consciousness, a higher frequency, one of unconditional love, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, and understanding. Remember who you are and why you are here. The more that are awake and activated, the more that are purposely creating on an expanded frequency, the sooner we will all experience the event. It happens within you first. Much love, peace, harmony, and more on the event in my next article. Thank you so much.